Hi, lovely little gemstones, it's Afira, and today I'll be reading Swallow Your Pride by Quarantine Vibes. Warning for this fic, there's mentions of vomiting, fainting, panic attacks, descriptions of blood, and disturbing imagery. All things kind of related to Remus. Summary. Roman tries to tell himself he's fine, but the truth is ripped out of him, literally. Or, Janus messes up. Remus is a good brother, and Roman tries to hide the growing number of increasingly disturbing artworks that seem to spring from his mind and spill unbidden from his fingertips. Chapter 1. The Golden Thread. It was fine. Really. Everyone made mistakes. Roman just happened to make them rather often, and his mistakes tended to be the in-your-face sort. When he realized he was pushing Thomas too hard to achieve perfection, he backed off. When he failed in helping Thomas maintain his dream relationship, he backed off. When he couldn't come up with an original idea, again, he told Thomas he'd go back to the drawing board. When Thomas decided not to go to the callback, he promised to do the same thing. The aforementioned drawing board sat in front of Roman. He barely looked at it as his hand swept around the paper, leaving lines of crisscrossing graphite. It was fine. It was fine. He was creativity. He'd come up with something eventually. More scritching on the drawing board. Roman distantly noted that he had switched to a waxy crayon, leaving splotched, textured red on the paper. Things had blown over a bit since the snake revealed his name. It was still tense when he and Roman were in the same room, but there was no use in dwelling on what had happened, on the implications of how Thomas saw him, or any of that. In Roman's heart, he knew Thomas would never hate him, so throwing himself a pity party wasn't going to do anyone any good. If Roman just stuck to it and did his job, it would be fine. It was fine. Roman nodded to himself and looked down at his creation. His nose wrinkled in disgust. A man rendered in vivid strokes of dark graphite knelt on the ground. The curves of his arms were caught, his body near hyper-realistic but his face expressionless as he ripped a dripping waxy heart out of his throat with desperate hands captured in angry strokes. If anyone had seen it, they might have appreciated the careful, seamless shading. The midtones were masterfully separated, and the heart's waxy medium made it as if it was beating on the paper. Roman wanted to burn it. Instead, he sighed, and buried it in a drawer filled with similar, grotesque works. Roman didn't know why, but lately it was all he could produce. Sometimes, while he slept, his room would command his art supplies, and he'd wake to a pile of portraits, paintings, and panels scattered about. Always a man. Always grotesque, always something worthless that no one could ever use. Roman shoved the near-bursting drawer shut. Roman sighed again and got up. He summoned a mirror. They were planning to film a video in a few minutes, and as their resident prince, Roman had to at least look the part. He glanced at the mirror, decidedly not looking the part. The dark circles and unkempt hair he could simply snap away. The lifeless locks suddenly bounced, gleaming with health, and his outfit smoothed itself and removed the stains of graphite. Roman patted his face a few times. Come on, Roman. It takes less muscles to smile than to frown. His face was not cooperating. Roman squished his cheeks together, closed his eyes, and tried again. He moved his eyebrows up. He made sure his eyes crinkled at the corners, and he shot the mirror the brightest smile he could manage. Looking at his reflection, he was almost jealous at who stared back. Roman shook his head. None of that thinking. No pity party, remember? With an award-winning smile on his face, Roman rose into the common room. You're late, Princey, Virgil greeted with a nod from the staircase. Fashionably late, as always, Roman quipped back instantly. You call that fashion? You call that eyeshadow? It is eyeshadow, Roman. What else would you call it? Logan asked from his spot. Eyeshadow? More like don't, Roman said with a grin. The banter was familiar, safe. Roman could feel himself easing into it until, and I think we should get back on track with this video. Roman narrowed his eyes at the yellow-clad side. No one asked for your opinion, Hannibal lecture. And that hasn't led to disastrous results in the past, Janice replied with a raised eyebrow. Roman could feel his princely expression falter as the implications of that statement settled in. Patton shuffled next to the blinds and cleared his throat. Janice sighed and looked at him. The two of them seemed to have a silent conversation. When had they gotten so close? After Roman had sunken out after the wedding? Did they perhaps bond over all of their mistakes? All of his mistakes? Roman shook his head. He was starting to sound like a certain spider. He banished the thoughts from his mind. Thomas, Janice crooned smoothly, why don't you tell us what this video will be about? Thomas had been watching the five of them silently until then. Remus was off who knows where, and nodded. Well, Thomas started, eyes darting between them before looking into the camera, the viewers have been wondering about all of your abilities. Logan cocked his head. Abilities? He asked. Thomas nodded again. Yeah, like how Roman can conjure stuff super easily. Thomas pointed to Roman, who winked and conjured an apple. It was bright red, and as Thomas kept talking, Roman squinted at it. Something seemed off. He turned the apple around in his hand, noticing the red dripping off like... Roman quickly waved it away before anyone else could notice. And Logan's practically a walking library, so, like, the viewers want to know. Thomas continued, mercifully unaware of the corrupted conjuring. About the other sides. They're especially interested in you, Janice, Thomas said with a smile. Janice blinked, his response uncharacteristically slow. Me? That's right, kiddo, Patton said brightly, a tone that Roman hadn't heard directed toward himself since he snuck out that day. You've been a sneaky snake for most of this series. The viewers are dying to know a little more. Janus looked from Thomas to Patton. Oh, he said quietly. Roman almost swore that there was small blush dusting his cheeks. I mean, Janus said, clearing his throat. Of course they would. I am rather interesting. Oi, Virgil said, exasperated. Janus ignored him. Well, Thomas, I won't reveal everything to you, he winked. I don't think you'd expect I would. Thomas shook his head, patiently waiting for Janus to continue. But I do have this nifty ability to make people tell the truth. Thomas blinked. You do? Janus nodded. He's obviously lying, Thomas, Roman said before he could stop himself. If he could, why bother with the whole courtroom scenario? Janus hummed. Making Thomas work through his own feelings and come to that conclusion on his own was more important. Logan looked up. You don't think that directly getting him to tell the truth would have been effective? Janus smirked. If I did that, would you have believed it was the truth back then? Fair point. Logan conceded, and the conversation was about to switch gears with Thomas asking for clarification on how Virgil's eyeshadow changed with his mood when Janus piped up. Though, as Roman said, it is perhaps not wise to take me at my word. Thomas tilted his head at Janus, who placed a hand on his chin. Would you like a demonstration? Oh, you'd be willing to... Yeah! Thomas exclaimed. I'm sure the viewers would love that. Go ahead. Thomas spread his arms and puffed out his chest as if he were standing at the helm of a ship. Janus snorted. I think the viewers get your truths rather often, Thomas. I believe it may be more interesting with someone else. Janus locked eyes with Roman. You did say I was lying. And, sweet prince, it takes a liar to know a liar. Roman shifted uncomfortably at Janus's flowery language that dripped too sweet. It wasn't like he had anything to hide, but doing anything with the snake did not sound gratifying. Now, Roman, you don't have to if it makes you uncomfortable, Logan said. Virgil nodded. Roman looked at Thomas, whose eyes dimmed for a moment before he caught Roman looking and he brightened up. Roman shook his head, resolute. Thomas thought that this would make the video better. Of course he would do it. Hit me with your best shot, Lima Bean. Has been. Oh, I intend to. Janus bit out and slinked closer to Roman. Before Roman could reply, Janus had put a hand on his chest. The spot glowed gold, and a glittered thread appeared, hovering above his heart. Janus gave it a small tug, and it began to unspool. I actually really want to borrow Virgil's eyeshadow. Roman yelped. The voice had come from him, but he hadn't spoken. He turned red as Virgil raised an eyebrow. We'll make it a day. I'll cover your face in eyeshadow and teach you the way of the emo, he said with a grin. Roman groaned in embarrassment. I wish I could pull off a hat. Roman squeaked as Janus's eyebrows shot up. Not everyone has the gift, Janus said with a playful smirk. Roman rolled his eyes. Yes, all right. Demonstration over. I don't want to be here. Roman's eyes widened as Thomas blinked in surprise. Oh, sorry, Ro. Are you not feeling well? We can stop recording if you want. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Nobody needs me. Roman gasped and grabbed the thread, trying to get it to stop. That's enough, Virgil yelled and tugged at Janus's sleeve. Janus frowned. I'll just mess everything up. Roman slammed a hand in front of his mouth, but the thread continued to tug itself out of him. I can't do anything right. Stop, Roman tried to say, but his voice evaporated like wisps of smoke. I'm awful. I'm a failure. Roman tried to shield his face from the camera. Where was the camera? He looked up, realizing with a start that he had sunken into the ground. Janice! Virgil yelled, dual-toned. Logan was sitting next to Roman, saying something, but Roman couldn't focus on it. His voice, the amplified one that seemed to spill unbidden from the thread, filled his ears. Worthless. Everything I make isn't good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good. I don't understand. I can't stop it, Janus yelled in frustration. He was kneeling in front of Roman, holding the rapidly unspooling thread in his hands. We'll figure it out, yelled the person to Roman's side. Logan? Was that Logan? Roman's head felt fuzzy, like someone was balancing a kettlebell on his nasal bone. Not worthy. Always wrong. Stop, Roman croaked out, this time successful. Janice, stop. It hurts. Janus paled. He whipped around. Thomas, you can stop it. What? Thomas screamed from where he was standing next to an equally shocked Patton. Listen, my powers get more... He spared a glance at Roman. Aggressive if someone has been bottling things up for a while. But, like Virgil said, anything you want to know, you can know. You can also stop wanting to know. What? What does that even mean? Can't create. Shouldn't create. Roman clutched at his chest, fully huddled in on himself. He was vaguely reminded of the drawing he had done earlier. It means, Janus hollered, the thread spilling over his hands, it means you can stop any one of our abilities if you choose to. So, he looked up desperately. Stop me. Thank you all so much for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to make sure you don't miss the rest of the series. If you like what you hear and you want to read more, you can find the link to the author in the description. If you want to check out other podfics I've done, you can click on the playlist linked on the screen. See you next time!